Hello, everyone. My name's London Breed. I'm the mayor of the city and county of San Francisco. And I am so excited to be here at Anchor, not just because they have a lot of beer, enough to go around a dozen times with everybody that's here, but more importantly, this is an incredible, iconic company here in San Francisco. In fact, they're a legacy business, and they have been around for generations. They've been great partners in our efforts to support businesses throughout San Francisco, but in addition to that, they believe in the importance of being a part of the solution when it comes to climate change. We all know that here in the state of California, we are experiencing some very challenging times with the wildfires. And on top of that, it's becoming increasingly difficult to fight those wildfires because we're also experiencing a drought. We have to think differently about the way that we do things in order to protect the environment, but also in order to preserve water and use water in different ways. In San Francisco, when I served on the Board of Supervisors before I was mayor, we pushed for legislation that would allow for gray water, that is the water that you wash your hands with, to be reused and recycled in buildings when there is new construction. But we also know that there are buildings that exist now that, if provided additional resources, could make very positive change and reuse in their water supply. Here, a lot of water is used, and in fact, the work that's being done here today is absolutely extraordinary. Cambrian is a company that established a technology that would allow for Anchor to take their whole infrastructure and make the types of changes that allow for the water that they use to clean the bottles and equipment and other things to actually be recycled water rather than water that could otherwise be used for drinking. This technology is really changing the way that we do business in the state of California, and we're grateful for their support and the work that they did to develop this technology. And here in San Francisco, the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission have a grant program where we've already provided over $2 million to various companies to change their businesses so that it doesn't impact their business directly, so that they could accommodate technology like this to make adjustments. And Anchor received a $1 million grant to make such changes. So we're really grateful to be here today because when you think about it, what they're doing in just this location alone is anticipated to save over 20 million gallons of water. That's the equivalent of over 1,300 residents in San Francisco. And in fact, San Franciscans used about 42 gallons of water a day, which is one of the lowest anywhere. We believe in conservation and we try to do our very best, but we also understand there's the need to change our infrastructure and businesses and how we support companies in San Francisco to be innovative and creative in new developments that will help us do exactly what we're doing here today. So I'm grateful to be here, and I know it's not after hours, but I would hope that after we're done with this press conference, Anchor may have some beer for us to sample so we can know what it tastes like. Yeah, especially because we have, a special guest in the house, and don't worry, he's not going to try to fight anyone here. But Edward Norton, it's great to have you here in San Francisco. You bring that star power that we love, but you're using it for a purpose that's going to protect the environment. It's going to help us move in a positive direction. San Francisco, with our new climate action goals and what we're doing around trying to be innovative to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to do all the things that we know we need to do here in San Francisco. We want to continue to be the model for the rest of the country to follow. We know we can't do it alone, but so many of the great innovative things that we've done in this city to protect the environment have really led the way for others to follow. And that's what we're going to see with this grant program. That's what we're going to see with the work that Cambrian is doing to bring forth this amazing technology to really change things as we know it. And with that, I want to introduce Matt Silver, who is the chairman and president and CEO of this is great technology, and clearly it takes real smarts to develop something like this, and so we're so glad to have him here today. So come on up, Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor Breed. It's working in the water and wastewater industry. It's not every day you have an event like this with Mayor of the city, a famous actor. We appreciate your all being here, and we appreciate your highlighting your support for sustainable infrastructure projects like we have here. And thanks everyone else for coming and being here. It's been a long time coming building this project, and I couldn't be more excited than to celebrate it with you all. You know, we're here to celebrate the plant and the impact it's going to have on the community here and the city, but we're also here to celebrate the investment that Anchor is making and the city of San Francisco are making in sustainable infrastructure right here in Potrero Hill. We also believe that this can actually be a new model for how to do distributed industrial reuse across the country. And that's something that's very much needed. Industry is the second largest user of water globally, and we can have a significant impact. For those of you who don't know Cambrian, we're a global provider of water treatment and reuse solutions, and our mission is to make water reuse simple, sustainable, and cost-effective. And we do this through a portfolio of proprietary treatment plants, biological treatment plants, that have the capacity to recover potable or near potable quality water, and in some cases clean energy, from processed water streams. We also do it through a service-focused business model where we'll sign long-term contracts, invest in the plant ourselves, and then charge by the gallon treated. So we really see this as a triple win: ensuring environmental compliance, cutting water footprint, actually cutting CO2 footprint, and helping companies actually save money in the process. In this project, we're really humbled to be serving and be given the opportunity to serve a historic brewery here in San Francisco. Anchor was founded in 1896, has a storied history, but with this 20-year contract, they've got a commitment to the future. And we're going to do a tour of the plant soon, but I wanted to highlight just a couple points. First, this is the largest commercial water reuse project in San Francisco history. The mayor pointed out it's, thank you, 20 million gallons, up to 20 million gallons a year capacity. We have the ability to treat and recycle 100% of, up to 100% of Anchor's processed water. It would result in a drastic reduction of their water use and also an elimination of up to 92 metric tons of carbon dioxide a year. It's been implemented, as I mentioned, under a long-term contract with investment by Cambrian and support from the SFPUC, which we're very thankful for. And a final point before I hand it off to our next speaker. Building innovative projects like this, distributed, sustainable infrastructure, is not easy. This project has had its ups and downs, and we're really excited that it's where it is today. But it takes partnership. It takes partnership between the public sector, regulators, the private sector, innovators. And with that, I'd like to thank, in particular, all our partners that got us through to this point here. Anchor Brewing, CEO Michael Tamiaka, who I got to know and respect very much as part of this project, Scott Peterson, Yuichi Anazawa, Dave Janowski. We appreciate your guys working with us and trusting us on this project. The San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, their on-site water reuse project, particularly Paula Kehoe, who has been a great advocate for the project and a supporter throughout. And I have to thank the Cambrian team, many of whom are here today. Jose Buriel, Travis Bolon, Brian Hafner, Andrew Posner, Richard Ross, who's not here, but he's at Essential Engineering. They did the hard work of building this plant through COVID, through ups, through downs. You guys should be really proud of what you have here today. So, and I'm also thankful for the other folks that have supported Cambrian in our journey. Emerson Collective, as well as Spring Lane Capital, Peter Gross, who's here. and I'll now hand it off to our next speaker, but I'm honored that he's one of the supporters among those. And while Edward doesn't really need an introduction, what some of you might not know is that he's dedicated a significant amount of his time, energy, and investments to the environment, and particularly water. As a valued board member at Cambrian Innovation, I know that he's about as knowledgeable as anyone we worked with on these issues, and he knows how to create and sustain an innovative company in these critical infrastructure markets. And I also know he shares our vision, which is that industry is an ecosystem, and with innovation and a little hard work, we can develop solutions that support the environment, protect the environment, while also saving communities and companies money. So with that said, I'll introduce Edward Norton.
Hey everybody, it's great to be here. I was listening to all of that, and I was thinking that, you know, phrases like public-private partnerships get tossed around a lot. It's kind of a collateral at podiums, but in this case, it's really true. I think this is a great example of what can happen when smart policymakers like Mayor London and her Public Utilities Commission recognize that government can play a role in not just facilitating but actually stimulating how a society remakes itself, what the interplay is between business and public good. And I learned a lot about that. My friend Andy Karstner is here. You guys don't know at the Public Utilities Commission, but Andy, when he was Deputy Secretary at the Department of Energy, created the loan program that gave us companies like Tesla, now the highest market cap auto company in the world. And that, though they don't talk about it at Tesla that often anymore, was very much the product of government stimulus. And I think it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal what Anchor is doing. It's phenomenal what the Public Utility Commission has capacitated, and it's phenomenal what Matt and the Cambrian team have built as a technology. The one perspective I would like to offer is that the state of California doesn't really have a water supply problem. The state of California has a water management problem, and when you consider that, you know, the dairy industry in the Central Valley alone uses 50% of the water in the state, and they don't recycle one drop of it. You know that really what we've got to do in this state is use water as a renewable resource, not treat it as an infinite, free a resource that we can assume we can assume that we get it for free, but we can't any longer afford to presume that industrial users can just throw it away after they use it. We've got to demand as a city, as a state, as a country, that the world that we're living in insists that industrial users of water must take responsibility for recycling that water and using it again. Period. End of story. And it's not just the state of California and the governor that should pay attention to what San Francisco is doing here. So should the national EPA. This should be a national standard, what's going on right here. And here's the great thing, is that it's not just leadership that's on display by the city of San Francisco in insisting and stimulating that, you know, saying there are systems that can now allow a company to do this. What we're seeing in terms of leadership from Anchor is what we need to see. This is what real corporate leadership looks like. Real corporate leaders look at the 30-year balance sheet and they say, look, how are we going to improve margin? How are we going to evolve our business so that we anticipate resource shortfall, et cetera? And Anchor is not just doing the right thing in doing this. They are going to save money and increase margin by having figured out a way that without having to purchase a system like this, they can lower their actual operating costs while securitizing their water stream. This is brilliant corporate leadership that is going to increase the value of this company. And basically, what I see going on here is really a whole bunch of different partners all throwing the glove down. This is a challenge to other companies to do as well as Anchor is doing. This is a challenge to other cities and the whole state of California to replicate this model and insist that water be wisely recycled as a policy mandate. And what's really exciting to me as a board member of Cambrian is that what Matt and Cambrian have really figured out is that we need ways to create a true win-win where a new American technological company and services company comes along and makes a great business for itself, creates jobs while improving the business model of its constituent clients. That is, that when they say a service industry, that's a true service. If one business is helping another business do better and at the same time improving the underlying water security of the entire state of California, that's what we need to be doing. That's what we need to be doing. And so I think it's important to, we talk about drought and we talk about fires and all these things. We don't not have enough water. We have enough water. We just use it stupidly. We waste it stupidly. What we can't afford to do is waste what we have. And now is the time. The last years in the state should have brought home to everybody that we can't afford to waste water. And the truth is, yes, it's great for people to think about watering their lawns, but residential use of water is not where the problem is. It is in the massive waste in industrial use of water. And what Anchor and San Francisco are doing here is what the state of California should be talking about with Central Valley livestock agriculture as well, because Cambrian should be building systems like this for big dairy farms in the Central Valley. And that is where we will really see change to the profile of the crisis that we are manufacturing for ourselves by throwing away water after we use it once. So I can't overstate. I've been the UN ambassador for biodiversity for over a decade. In all the problems that we see in facing sustainability and a future for our kids that's not an apocalyptic environmental disaster, water is one of the pillar problems. We can't solve. Water affects human health. It affects biodiversity. It affects our development capacity. It's going to end up affecting our air quality because it's how we fight fires in this state. We have to solve the water problem in the state of California. And what you're seeing right here is how it's going to get done. So congratulations to every one of you who's been involved in this, because it's about much more than a brewery coming up with a cool water system. It really is the solution that we need to a massive problem in the state and in the United States. So I also get to introduce someone who's in one of the, I think in industry you don't see a lot of what I would call alchemy and cool creativity, but being a brewmaster at a major brewery to me is like being an alchemist. You're literally taking stuff and turning it into gold that we drink. Tom has been with Anchor for 37 years. He's been the brewmaster for about 2 years. He's from the Potrero Hill area, a true local and a master at his craft. And so he's going to get to talk to us about what this means for his magic making in the tanks.
Thank you for that introduction. And thank you for that statement. That was very powerful. Today is an incredible milestone for our team at Anchor Brewing as we celebrate our commitment to our hometown of San Francisco through this initiative with the San Francisco PUC and Cambrian Innovation. Anchor Brewing turned 125 this year, which is an incredible milestone in craft beer. And as we look ahead to our next 125 years, we couldn't be more proud to partner with organizations that allow our brewery to reduce our water usage and overall carbon footprint. As Edward said, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I grew up in this neighborhood on Potrero Hill, and I have been with Anchor for 37 years. I started on the packaging line when I was 21, and I have touched every corner of this brewery. I even served as a tour guide at one time. It's definitely inspiring for me to see this partnership come to life, a testament to Anchor Brewing and the city of San Francisco's commitment to the future of not only our brewery, but the future of our surrounding community. On behalf of the entire Anchor team, Thank you for supporting and contributing to the enduring legacy of our brand in San Francisco. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Nuja Ajami. Very quick story first, talking about the nature of the partnership. As with any innovative project, this project hit some snags here and there along the way while it was getting built. Every time we hit them, the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission worked directly with Anchor and with Cambrian, rolled up their sleeves, and at times modified the regulations and made them both more practical while still robust for health and safety. That's not what I think most people think about when they think about a regulator. That's innovation from a regulatory perspective. Without it, this project wouldn't be here. And actually, Cambrian's using the standards developed here at other sites, because it's a standard that we can use nationally. So I think that speaks a lot to the values and the quality of the people at the SFPUC. And I'm really pleased to introduce Nuja Ajami, who's the SFPUC Commission President. I will say, along with being the Commission President, she's the Director of Urban Water Policy with Stanford University's Water in the West program, where she does research on using data science principles to study human and policy dimensions of our urban water and hydrologic systems. So she's a real expert on sustainable water resource management. Nuja.
Thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate it. It's a really hard act to follow, obviously, but I am really pleased to be here. And I just wanted to declare, I'm not the president of the commission, I'm vice president of the commission, and I just got appointed to that position. So I am truly delighted to be here. And as someone who has spent my entire career looking at how to build water solutions that are sustainable and resilient, and try to come up with different valuable policies that can reach this outcome, I am really honored and excited to be in this position. I have followed this effort that has been put together by SFPUC for many years, and it's definitely a visionary effort. So we all know that climate change is impacting our water supplies and infrastructure, and obviously the future is a little bit uncertain when we are thinking about all these impacts. So unless we really look back and see how we can innovate and change the way we use water, we can't really move forward. And I think this project is a great example of how reuse and recycling at any scale should be at the table, especially what we see here right now. By matching alternate water resources with the right end use, such as what we are seeing here, like using the waters in these tanks to try to reuse them, we can actually sort of save our precious water supplies and drinking water supplies, and unlock the potential for resilient and sustainable water future. And I would say also equitable water future, which we all need to pay attention to. This kind of project is why SFPUC launched the water reuse program for the breweries in 2018. I would say it requires a real vision and leadership. And I wasn't there at the time, so I can say this not attributing to myself, but it requires real leadership and vision for a utility to take this on, because it was not an easy, and I really appreciate it to be part of this group. Typically in a brewery, you might not know, we use about 5 to 7 gallons of water to produce about a gallon of beer. So that extra 4 to 6 gallons of water can be reused for different purposes, and that is really what we are trying to do here. Depending on how much water is reused, San Francisco Public Utilities Commission has been trying to provide between $250,000 to $1 million to support these kind of projects, which I think is important. That kind of support is another reason why SFPUC has always been a leader in the on-site reuse system. We were the first city to launch such a program. The on-site reuse requirements was something that we started, basically the first municipality in the nation to require on-site water reuse system for new and large development. And now actually we have come down to make that to strengthen the ordinance that we have, and basically make it broader to include more buildings and businesses as part of that. Along with water reuse, we also have a lot of other water recycling projects that are going on. Those initiatives include our West Side water recycling project that will provide about 2 million gallons of water a day for Golden Gate Park, Presidio, and Lincoln Park for irrigation water, which is going to be quite important. Some of the golf courses as well will be using some of that water. While San Francisco will always be a leader in conservation, as you heard, we are using about 40 gallons per person per day, which is quite low for the state. I would say Denmark is using 22 gallons per person per day. We can get there. And I would just say we should actually do not water our lawns with precious water supplies. So while we are also doing reuse and recycling. However, I would say it's really great that we are here. I'm grateful for the team that have been trying to work hard to make water conservation, efficiency, reuse, recycling as a reality, as sort of embrace it and make it a reality. So with all the television cameras here today, this is an opportunity to remind everybody that and all the breweries that are out there, please reach out to us, work with us, embrace this kind of solutions and technologies. Let us together work and save water. This is the first time we are celebrating a project of this kind in San Francisco, but I really hope it's not last. And thank you again for all of you to be here. And I think we are going to do some ribbon cutting. Yes, perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, are we ready? 5, 4,